Welcome to the Daily for May 7th with Greg Lawless. I'm Jason Seguini. Greg, yesterday, big news about Manchester United coming to North America.
Coming over.
And now big news today, Montreal, the 19th team in MLS.
Bienvenue, Montreal. This is such an amazing moment. I just think this city is a perfect town for MLS to go into. Right. It's a wonderful sports city. You look at what they do with the Canadians, obviously. You look at what they do with the Impact. Already they're getting 10, 11, 12,000 fans out to their games. When they come up to the first division, it's just going to be that much better.
Yeah, and the rivalry between Toronto and Montreal already you've seen it. Yeah, this is great for Canadian soccer. I know a lot of fans have thrown out the, well, how does this benefit? Isn't the league supposed to benefit U.S. soccer and this and that, and you're really helping Canadian soccer? To me, benefiting Canadian soccer helps all of soccer in North America and us.
Yeah, we have to think about CONCACAF as well. And the U.S., sometimes gets knocked down because they play in CONCACAF. But you know what? If the Canadian soccer team can get a little bit better, start to make the World Cup, start to impress the way the United States has, I think it's just going to help everyone in the region. And let's also be honest about this. There are a lot of American players that have gotten great chances in Toronto, and I expect them to get good chances in Vancouver and in Montreal as well. Sure. So I think it's a win-win for everybody in this scenario.
Yeah, it's definitely opening up more jobs for more players.
And more poutine for everyone to eat. You can just eat it all day long now when you go on that road trip.
So, Greg, coming off of that, we've gotten some questions about expansion, some of which were what's the next team, so we covered that, Montreal. But will there be 20 teams by 2012? And if so, who's the teams? Will there be a team in Miami? I've got plenty of questions on expansion. What are your thoughts?
I think that eventually it is going to get to 20 teams, obviously, because they're going to go to 19 when Montreal comes in 2012. Mm-hmm. Whether there's another expansion team by 2012, I don't know. It seems like that's a little bit of a stretch, but you never know. Someone might come in and say, we want to do it, we want to do it quickly. The cities I like are St. Louis, and I think Atlanta is also a really good candidate for an expansion team. And, of course, maybe another team in New York. Yeah,
another thing people point to when expanding too quickly is that talent pool getting too depleted. What we've seen in the past is the ownership and the league rules kind of bending a little to accommodate that, and maybe allowing more foreigners, more players to come in to raise that talent pool.
Well, I think if you also look at it, there are a lot of good, young, talented players that are coming up, and this offers them a lot more opportunities. We were looking at the under-20 team that was just called in for a tournament, right? And there are a bunch of 17, 18-year-old Americans who are maybe playing in Europe. Now, when you get more teams, they will get even more opportunities here.
Sure. Speaking of playing MLS games, though, Greg, games this weekend, we've got to touch on some of the bigger games. LA going to Seattle. LA's had a tough week playing Saturday, Wednesday in Colorado, now at Seattle. What are you expecting from LA? Lineup changes?
I could see them maybe making a couple of lineup changes just to get some of their guys some rest. At the same time, if Bruce Arena's thinking that Landon Donovan and Edson Buttle might be gone for 6 weeks, a good stretch of time with the World Cup, you have to be thinking, use them as much as you can while you've got them, right? So I don't think maybe the big boys are going to sit, but I could maybe see some other changes. Maybe Chris Klein slots in. Maybe we'll see Clint Mathis get out there a little bit more.
Sure. Big game in the Western Conference. Two of the favorites in the Western Conference going at it. Also, DC United traveling to FC Dallas, which is definitely an interesting game after Bill Hamid's midweek game. Is Bill Hamid going to start this game again? If he does, Greg, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's the best goalkeeper on the field.
Well, you can go out and do that, but let's remember that the FCD goalkeepers pitched a shutout in the last game out, right? So
not very impressively.
Say what you will, but they did, right?
Okay,
so look, this is a Dallas team also that I think is starting to find their groove. We've been saying that sort of all season, I think. But look, they got off the schneid, they got the win in the last one. Same for DC. I mean, the relief out of Washington in that game was palpable, all across the country. Everyone sort of felt the sigh of relief that came out of there. This is going to be a good game, I think. It's going to be a very, very tough one, though, for DC to go down to Dallas. And Dallas, I think they're going to be able to run at that DC defense pretty well.
Greg, another intriguing matchup in the Western Conference has to be Houston traveling to red-hot Chivas USA. And Chivas, who's been on this streak, but probably facing the toughest competition so far.
Come on, you goats. I mean, I love this Chivas team. I love them. I've already picked them for the playoffs.
You pick them every year, Greg.
I do pick them every year. I'm a big fan of Chivas, and especially this iteration of them. I think that Martin Vasquez, the new coach this year, has installed a system that plays into their strengths. It allows Sasha Kljestan to find space to be creative going forward. And I think that, it's a little bit slower. They pick their moments. And of course, my guy, Justin Braun up top, starting to find his form.
It's worth noting that Kljestan has that freedom for Chivas USA because of Blair Gavin and Ben Zemanski, the work that they're doing in the central midfield, which is rare in MLS to see two rookies starting in the center of the field. Never mind one rookie, because normally you're taking those rookies and pushing them out wide so they're not a defensive liability. Here, Chivas is relying on them to allow Kljestan to roam the field.
They're getting the job done right now. We'll see how they do against Houston, though, because Houston coming in, a lot of questions in that midfield for them. Brad Davis, obviously a very tricky guy. Can these two rookies deal with Davis and his ability to go to his left foot and go to goal? Last time these two teams met in Houston, Chivas USA were shellacked 3-0. So we'll see how it ends up this time.
Yeah, Brian Ching might get back on the field for Houston, which would be a big story for them and a big boost for them. Houston, it seems like they're due for a win, though, because they're a win-loss kind of team so far this season.
Yeah, that's the way it's been going.
Wrapping up for today, I just wanted to say thanks for your emails. We got a ton of emails yesterday on the Buttle Gomez debate. Also, tons of questions for the commissioner. Keep those questions coming. We mentioned yesterday, next week we're going to be sitting down with the commissioner, Don Garber. Send us your questions. It's all going to be fan questions coming from you guys. Greg, do you have any questions for the commish?
I have a ton
It doesn't
of
matter
because
it's all fan questions.
All fan questions.
All right, that's it for today. We'll be back next week on The Daily.